if you don't automatically know, you need to be looking at the grammar book and checking what the endings of words are in terms of their syllable length. In other words, how do we get these short syllables? Well, I mean, obviously, you have a sort of short A that we get in nominative and vocative with the first declension words, so answer and so on. And obviously, the long A is the ablative of those first declension nouns. And you can get a short E from various things, obviously a vocative of a masculine word, but third declension ablative is a common way of getting that, and so on. And that's if we're following the consonant. Because if our final word starts with a consonant, of course we use a vowel that is naturally shortened for it. If our final word starts with a vowel, we don't want to have elisions towards the end, by the way. We want to keep it neat and clean, so no elisions near the end of the line. And depending on what our final word is, we need to be having before it something ending either in a vowel or in a consonant to fit appropriately. So, obviously, if we run out of other ideas, I strongly recommend the word wet. So is all problems, frankly. So, and any other sort of obvious fudge to make things fit. So, if we've got a consonant starting our final word, then these sort of things are what we're looking for naturally. Equally, if we've got a vowel starting our final word, we're not wanting to rely. We're looking for things which are naturally short and ending with consonants. So, I mean, verbs in at, is, and so on. Obviously fit the bill. Various other possibilities, masculine nouns in us are going to work, and so on. So we're looking for things which are going to fit in the places that we're dealing with. Okay, I mean, all of this is really is very elementary. So I take it that there are no problems with it, and I'll remove it from the board. Okay. I have a little sort of mnemonic to remind myself and other people of what we're aiming for here. And it's like this. The four elements of poetry, SVOR, they stand for subject, verb, object, and rubbish. Rubbish is everything else. Adjectives, adverbs, and so on. And you sort of prioritise the first three, decide what your basic sentence structure is. What is the subject of the sentence? What is the main verb? What is the object? What are you trying to say in the sentence anyway? The sentence has to have a point. So you work that out. You work out where in the line those vital words are going to go. This is the key thing. Words have natural places in the line. I mean, they used to call them sedes, or seats, in ancient and Renaissance discussions of this. I don't think it's a useful word. Everything has a natural seat or place. Sometimes you can sort of squeeze words into places where they're less natural and still fit the meter, but that creates problems for you elsewhere. And we do want to try and make this easy on ourselves rather than extra difficult. And it becomes really difficult when you leave yourself an awkward gap that you can't fill. So the secret of putting things in their right seat is you leave the right size gap to fill with other things. So if you work out the subject, verb, object first, then rubbish is everything else. And what rubbish generally consists of is adjectives agreeing with the nouns you've already chosen. And the idea is if you get the crucial elements in the right place in the line, you've left yourself with sensible gaps in the sort of places where adverbs naturally did put adjectives. You've left yourself with a sensible gap, just slip an adjective in there which makes some sort of sense, and there you are, you've got a line that works. And at a higher level of poetic ambition, you then bear out with that and try and do it a bit more subtly and thoughtfully. But to start off with, I suggest we just try and make it work, and therefore we don't pay too much attention precisely what the rubbish consists of. It just consists of things which plug the gaps and make the line work. So, in terms of what the natural seats are, we do need to remember that the caesura is absolutely the heart of the hexameter. I'm assuming everybody's familiar with caesuras and what we mean by that. I mean, of course, the main caesura in the line by caesura, not just any gap in any foot. The main caesura comes, of course, not precisely in the middle of the line, but slightly off-centre. We're normally doing it in the third foot rather than fourth. I suggest that's what we aim at today. So the line falls into two unequal portions, doesn't it? The before the caesura and after the caesura. So we make up our 6 feet of the hexameter by 2.5 plus 3.5, or if you have a 4 for the caesura, of course, the other way around, but anyway, that's the normal arrangement. And similarly, of course, the pentameter is made up much more rigidly out of 2.5 feet twice. So, the caesura is the key, and what we're doing is really writing half lines rather than full lines. We're either working up towards the caesura from the beginning, or we're working back towards the caesura from the end. And I suggest we do the end first, in general. I mean, it doesn't always work like that, of course, if you're writing. It just flows, and particularly if you're running on from one line to another. Of course, you do the beginning of the line first rather than the end, very often. But the reason why I suggest we aim at doing the end first is that the end is more difficult. As I started off by mentioning, you've got to have your nice, clean, neat ending with your 5th-foot dactyl and your 6th-foot spondee. And to achieve that, that is often more difficult than achieving the other things. So do the difficult thing first, and then fit the easier things around it. It's the most sensible method. So most often we're deciding where the keyword, where the subject verb object is going to go, and of course where they go depends entirely on what words you choose. Because some words will fit very easily in more or less any position, some are really quite difficult to fit in, and they absolutely have to go in their natural seat. So if you're going to use those words, and they matter to what we're trying to say, then get them in first, and then see if other things will fit around them. And do be flexible about how you do this, and don't get too hung up on using particular words, because if other things won't go very easily around and it's all not going to work, it's much better to just ditch that idea, apply some other simple words to say the same sort of thing, and see if that will work. It is usually possible to make a line of verse with any legal word that you wish to use, but some really are a pain in the neck. For starting purposes, best to stick with ones which are not going to cause too many problems. So, it's really as common sense which seats are appropriate for which words, but I mean, to make an obvious reminder, we've got a sort of a dactylic word, putting a circle around something vindicated, it's a word. Where are the natural places for a dactyl to go, do you think? Sorry? 5th foot, exactly, yeah. I mean, it goes very easily in the 5th foot. Anywhere else that it would be not a nuisance? Yeah, the 1st, yeah. Anywhere else, it's liable to be a bit of a nuisance, actually, because if you put it, say, on the 2nd foot, and you're having a caesura in the normal place, you've got a monosyllabic gap between the 2nd foot and the caesura. Now, of course, there are words that will fill that gap, and yeah, it's perfectly legal, and you, from time to time, will find yourself doing it. But nevertheless, you've created yourself a little bit of a problem. Monosyllabic gaps can be rather a pain. You can get round them by omission, of course, and you can also get round them by sticking in the sort of padding or filler words. I said that quet is immensely helpful. So also words like nunc, yam, and so on. And I do find, if you find yourself using the word nunc in every other line, then I think you are overusing them. But as a sort of, as padding there, immensely useful. I mean, don't be afraid of padding. Even Virgil, who spent a whole day working on one line, I'm sure he pads out occasionally something. I think we're allowed to. So yeah, you are allowed to use nunc and yam to save yourself from crisis like this, but best not to get into crisis in the first place. So try and avoid monosyllabic gaps. So that's the practical reason why. Of course, a dactyl is perfectly legal in the 2nd foot or in the 4th foot or whatever. But as Tony pointed out, the 5th and the 1st are the natural seats for it. Similarly, a word that is naturally anapistic, like that. And of course, when I say that, the final syllable of every word depends both on its nature and its position.